Okay, here we go. Chapter 14, Part 3. We'll wrap everything up here with talking about the geological hazards, geological hazards that occur and how humans are influencing some of these hazards. In the last one, we talked about different mining techniques and extraction of resources and how that creates negative environmental consequences. Well, we left off in the last one with earthquakes. There are natural earthquakes. The movement of the Earth's crust, they slide around, subduction, etc. It happens naturally. But we see direct scientific evidence that human influences like well drilling, wastewater injection, and fracking are causing an increase in the amount of earthquakes we experience. So with fracking, we drill down, this is the bottom picture here. So we drill down through the earth, a lot of times through water levels, the aquifer, and we get down into the shale, that type of rock, and then we run these drill holes or lines through the shale, and then we frack it, basically crack and break the shale to extract out the oil, to extract out the fossil fuels. So we're not getting coal this way. It's primarily oil and gas. So then, you break it, and that causes that oil to drip down into that long pipe structure here. And then we extract it out. Suck it up, pump it out. Sounds good. But what we've done is literally destabilized all of this rock with these fracks or cracks or breaks in it. So imagine, if you guys think about a wall in a house and the 2x4s and those beams, go in there and crack them and break them in order to extract something out of it. You weaken the structure. You weaken that support structure. So as that structure gets weakened, all the earth above it starts to move and shift and turn and slide, hence this uptick in earthquakes. So back in 2014 in Illinois, there was a huge push to do fracking, and groups were lobbying for it, groups were pushing against it, trying to block it, but ultimately a bill was passed to allow fracking to occur. So I encourage you guys, take a look at what are the Illinois fracking laws. Most of this is southern Illinois. Okay, southeastern Illinois, Jasper County, Franklin, Effingham. You get down near Carbondale area. There's fracking down there in those counties is where a lot of this is happening. Think about the environmental resources. We have beautiful forests and just some incredible environment down there, and now we're destabilizing it with fracking. Sometimes the return is, well, we create this hole in this pipe and this fracking. Well, let's fill it with wastewater. Let's inject all that water back into there. That doesn't seem to help prevent the actual fracking. What some scientists think is you inject all that wastewater in there, and it's basically lubricating the tectonic plates, so now they slip easier and they slide past each other easier and more frequently. Thus, the increase in the number of earthquakes we're seeing. So take a look at some of the USGS, U.S. Geological Survey, so usgs.com, U.S. Geological Survey data about the number of earthquakes and what we're going to have, or we have been having, and what's occurring. All right, so here is the big picture of probability of earthquakes. What are we going to have in the next 50 years? And out west, of course, there's a lot of earthquake potential out here because you have two tectonic plates sliding past each other, and that can create that rippling of earthquakes across the western United States. But down here, oh yeah, we got some major earthquake potential in the southern United States, and pretty much all of Missouri is sitting under major probability of earthquakes. We're having them. They're occurring, and they're starting to occur in more and more frequency. All right, so that's the main one we will see here. in continental United States. But let's look at something like a volcano eruption. You think, it's not going to happen here. No, but you guys remember Hawaii? Last year, Hawaii, their volcanoes were erupting for months, spewing out magma. Now, as that magma cools, think about the rocks that it forms. What molten magma, what rock is created from magma that's been cooled. But the other concerns about volcanic eruptions, sulfuric emissions that go up, get caught into the clouds and into the atmosphere, and now we have acid rain, and those emissions drift around, and where's that rain going to drop? Depends on the wind and the weather patterns that we see, which we can't stop. So anytime you have a volcanic eruption, that is potentially leading to some rain issues, acid rain, that then over time can create some significant problems as it comes down in environments that aren't accustomed to the acidity levels, and what's going to happen in your watershed when the acid rain comes down. An issue we do see is flooding. Flooding is rated as the worst geological hazard in the world. Okay, global. This is the worst geological hazard. Don't know if any of you guys remember this, but December 31st, 2015, Petersburg was flooded. We built a levee about 1.5 miles long across this town to keep the town from flooding. So the Sangamon River flooded way past its banks. So for those not familiar with Petersburg, where this truck is facing would be heading east. The truck is facing east. North would be up here. West would be going this way, and can't see it, but if you went back this way, you'd almost get to my house. But anyway, my old house. The bridge flooded because the Sangamon came out of its banks so bad. I mean, it came up over 3 feet against the levee we built. There's Pizza Hut, there's Hardee's, there's Family Dollar. All of this was flooded. It was crazy. And the concerns with flooding, what's getting spread out in that flood? The waste treatment plant. You can't see it in this picture, but it's up here. That's the sewer treatment plant for Petersburg. So all of the city sewers drain there. Well, that got flooded. So everything that was being treated basically entered that flood water. Never, ever play around in flood water because of the potential for pathogenic diseases, just nastiness in flood water. So you don't want to, I'm just out there splashing around having fun. It is not safe at all. Stay out of it. But this is what it looked like on the backside of that wall. So that wall was about 4 feet high and about 5 feet thick. We bagged thousands of sandbags and just created this wall to keep the town from flooding, to keep it from going up into the town. And there are a lot of homes that are within the floodplain of that river. That's the problem. You know, we look at how many people live within a floodplain and think, it's never going to happen. Well, floods continue to occur, and they will always occur. The concern is they're occurring more often with greater frequency and more severity. A lot of this is due to climate change. The recent hurricanes on the East Coast, Hurricane Michael, fall here of 2018. Think about how many people in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, etc. got flooded. And it took days for that water to finally recede. So your lives are disrupted. Petersburg, the town was literally cut in half because of that flood. You could not cross the bridge. The closest crossing, you had to go almost down to Springfield to find a way to get across that river going south. So you're looking at 20 some miles going south to get across the river. That wasn't a flooded area. Going north, same problem. You had to go 15, 20 miles to get to a bridge that was not flooded out because of that river. So if nothing else, huge disruption in your life. How do I get to work when I have to drive an extra 20 miles north, 20 miles back south to just get across that river. So huge disruption, massive economic impact on all of us when we deal with floods. So climate change is the underlying problem with several of these issues. Some of these issues are causing climate change to occur or contributing to it, and others are happening because of climate change. So it's all interwoven and interconnected here. So we are expecting globally to see more flooding and risk of wildfires due to climate change. Because of this, we're going to see a decline in crop yields. Fish caught in the ocean will decline. We're going to see issues with water availability and water shortages. Those are some of the major risks associated with global climate change. And, what about human health? What about economics? If you want to go into that side of the picture, what about just economics? How is that going to disrupt the economics of countries or society if your crops fail? Now, you don't have any corn and soybeans in the Midwest, or you have a terrible yield because of a drought, or because you got flooded out so bad. All these things are happening because of climate change and the things we're doing that are contributing to that issue. So we're going to be addressing more climate change later in the semester. We'll take a look at a little bit of a unit on climate change. So it's not going away, unfortunately. It is an underlying theme of all the stuff we're looking at. All right, so again, remember the big picture when we're looking at geology and the Earth's resources. What do we do with it? How do we extract them, the different resources? What kind of rocks are the common rocks on this planet? And then we'll really want to start talking and thinking about what can we do individually, but also as a society to help minimize the impact. We're never going to stop it. That's unfortunately the reality. But what can we do to try to minimize or decrease the impact of our lifestyle on the health of the planet? So, all right, keep talking about that in future lectures.